My cousin May and I had a close friendship as children. As we became teenagers and our lives got busier, we naturally did drift apart, but we still talked every 2 weeks or so during college. During May's third year of college, she suddenly stopped talking to everyone in the family. She dropped out of school without telling any of us. Her parents had to find out from a classmate. We reported her as missing because we were afraid something bad happened to her. May sent a message to the family, letting us know she was okay, but had never felt satisfied with her previous life and just needed to start over. May had never let on that she felt this way during our conversations, and it obviously hurt that she hadn't tried talking to me about it before leaving. The only reason I maintained many of my social media profiles for a while after was so May could find me if she ever changed her mind. I tried reaching out to her as well, but I admit that after about 2 years, I gave up and accepted May as a lost cause. We had no contact with May for almost 7 years, but she recently returned. May has 3 children, a kindergartner and toddler twins. She never told us about them. May never reached out during her pregnancies or after any of their births. May explained that her daughter's father had passed away and the twins' father had taken off. She was doing her best on her own, but after the boy twin was diagnosed with a disability, she realized that she couldn't do it on her own anymore. May's parents are willing to take her in and help with the grandchildren, but she said it would be hard for her because she knows they're disappointed in her and the life choices she's made, and seeing their faces and the way they look at her every day would pose even more of a strain on her mental health. May asked to move in with me, saying that she knows I understand what it's like to be a mother because of my own toddler son and brought up our childhood friendship with each other. I told May that I had also been hurt and disappointed by her actions. She never tried to talk with me about her feelings of dissatisfaction or wanting to start over. Instead, she just took off and left us to worry about her. I can empathize with being a mother, but I must also put my child's well-being first. What if my son grows attached to her and her children, just for her to run out of our lives again? My son has had enough loss in his life. How could I allow her to move in and trust her not to hurt us again? May is staying with her parents right now. May texted me, saying she wished I'd allowed her to move in, because as she told me before, it's a huge mental strain on her to live with her parents and see the disappointment in their eyes every day. She also told me that she hoped our years of friendship would have meant more to me when facing such a low point in her life, both when she left and now that she's returned. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. May abandoned you, and now that it's convenient for her, she wants to return. Let's be clear, not because she wanted to be with you, but because she wants to be apart from her parents, and she needs help with her kids. Please don't get emotionally sucked into this. You did nothing wrong, and you and your kids shouldn't have to disadvantage yourself to have 4 more people moving in with you, especially if she has a home. OP, you're still hurt by May's behavior. You tried to reach out for 2 years. What did your friendship mean to her then? Please continue to keep your distance. How will May financially support herself and the kids? You're still going to be used financially and feel that way. I think May isn't being completely honest with you. Is there any proof her baby daddy actually died? Given her history of running away and cutting people off, there's a chance she might be lying. It is a manipulation tactic. She appears more pitiful and helpless as a widow. If you and her family think that she's a widow, then no one will be bothering her to go to court and get some child support either. Ask her if she's getting the death benefits for her child if you're in the US. Ask her in front of her parents. I wouldn't be surprised if she bailed on both men and didn't want them to have any custody or say in raising her children. So many red flags and warning lights. Do not let this prodigal cousin move in and take over your life. When May has another opportunity, lover, she'll probably disappear again and dump her kids on you. 100% this. I think it makes sense for the OP to be skeptical of May's story, given that cutting off family for 7 years without warning is something you'd expect from someone with an abusive spouse. Maybe May is running away from him, but she has her parents' support. My 28 male, wife 27, is pregnant with our first baby. and I'm so thrilled to be a father. We recently had some scans and found out that it's a girl. We agreed that we wouldn't talk about names until we knew the gender. So, of course, on our way home from the gynecologist, we immediately started discussing. We've discussed this a little before and agreed that we both have veto power. I suggested my all-time favorite name, Anna. My wife suggested Caeligh, pronounced Kaylee, and yes, she spelled it out. I vetoed it. She suggested another name, Ryleigh, Riley, and again she did spell it out. I vetoed it and suggested Riley spelled the normal way. She refused. She then suggested Nova Lynn. I vetoed, suggesting Nora as an alternative. She again refused. This continued several times until she snapped at me, calling me unreasonable for vetoing all her picks. Finally, she said, "What's the point in talking about it if you veto all my choices? You're a controlling idiot." I responded, "Maybe if you pick something normal, we might get somewhere, but you won't even try to compromise." She looked really hurt, and we drove the rest of the way home in silence. Now I'm wondering if I'm in the wrong for vetoing her picks and for what I said to her. Am I the idiot? How about broccoli? Jesus, not the idiot. You're doing your daughter a favor by vetoing these names. People should stop naming their children tragedies and consider that they'll be adults one day. I'm a teacher. The things some of these creative parents name their kids, like, I totally understand your parents' baby name book had like 5 names in it, and wanting something a bit different. But like normal, do you have any idea how badly some of them get teased for their names? You can have a normal name like Michael, and it's still, LOL, ask him if he likes it, or Michael Motorcycle. This crap is compounded when you have to go through life named after a shape. And no, I'm not kidding. Then they go on field trips and get sad because they can't get a keychain with their name. I'm sorry, Braxley. Maybe next time. Yeah, the kids would need therapy for these names. My friend is in med school, and the rural Appalachian hospital she worked at had a names of shame board in the locker room. The winner by far was JKMN. It's pronounced like Noel because they took the L out of that section of the alphabet. So there's literally no L. I'm impressed that someone dumb enough to name a child like that knows that much of the alphabet. I have a relatively common name with an odd spelling, and I hate it. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, constantly having to explain it when I go to a new doctor's office, the DMV, ordering a bloody coffee. It's a never-ending nightmare conversation starter. Not to mention that the TSA and airport security have it out for me the second they see it on my passport. Do not name your kid something weird because you're setting them up for this life. Your wife must remember that she's naming a person, not just a baby. Update. After some tough conversations, we decided to look for names that are uncommon but actually have history. I used my TBI to convince her that we needed a name that's at least spelled like it sounds. Not entirely untrue, LOL. Anyway, we eventually decided on Rhea, Annalise, as our working first choice, with Mercy, Freya, and Eloise as our backups. Thanks, y'all. My wife has been a bit weird around our dog lately. Our dog is a female 3-year-old cowboy corgi. We live on a farm, and she's a good farmhand. Now, my wife wasn't supposed to be able to have kids due to cancer. We were told she would never have babies due to the damage. Despite this, God blessed us with a beautiful baby girl. My daughter's just learning how to walk. She's taken a few steps here and there, but walks constantly with her push-along walker. Last night, our daughter stood up on her own and took about 4 steps, and I was sitting there recording it. Well, our dog, for whatever reason, will knock the baby over whenever she tries to walk and bark at us, almost like she's telling us not to let the baby walk. I think it's funny and cute. My wife, on the other hand, is entirely fed up and doesn't want the dog around the baby at all anymore. She's told me a bunch of times she's tired of the dog knocking the baby over on purpose and that the dog's making our daughter fearful of walking. I don't believe this under any circumstances, but my wife is very much down my throat about it. Well, this morning before the dog and I went out to do our chores, Abigail was taking some big steps and walking around the kitchen with just her hand on the cupboards. She let go to clap, and when she did, my dog ran over and knocked her over again. My wife took off her flip-flops and waved them at the dog, causing the dog to run outdoors, and she told me, "That dog goes anywhere near our baby again, and I swear to God I'll leave." I told her she was being extreme, which set her off more because she was tired of explaining her case to me and tired of me thinking it's so cute that the dog is purposely knocking our kid over. I told her, I'm not keeping the dog away from our kid because that would create a toxic behavior from the dog. She said she would leave then, either the dog or her and the baby, basically. Am I the idiot? Not gonna lie, this cracked me up, especially a corgi. Come on, a corgi of all things? But seriously, train your dog, OP. A one-time thing is something to laugh about. Repeated behavior, not so much. Your wife has said it's her and the baby or the dog? OP, my guy. It really is time. Train your dog. Teach your dog some boundaries and please grow up. She's not asking you to get rid of the animal. She's asking that you not let the dog intentionally hinder your child's development. I would just say don't let the dog near the baby, but your marriage issues are way deeper than that. If you want this to last, you're gonna have to start doing some deeper self-reflection and self-improvement. But maybe apologizing to your wife could be a start. My wife and I have 2 daughters, one mid-teen and one young teen. My wife's younger sister is unmarried, but she's been dating her boyfriend on and off for around 5 years. Their relationship is not healthy. I don't want to get too into it, but she would be much better off without him. But he somehow manages to draw her back in whenever she leaves. My wife and I just recently moved back to the States and about an hour away from her hometown, where her sister lives. Last night, my wife got a frantic call from her sister asking if she could stay at our place for a few days. Her boyfriend apparently showed her his crazy side for the nth time, and it scared her off. So now she's looking for a place to crash, and my wife agreed. Now I fully understand the seriousness of the situation, and I was fine with her maybe hanging out for a night, but I was not crazy about her staying extended. This is because we have 2 girls here, and I don't want to invite this mess into my home. She's trying to avoid him, and I fear he'll come here looking for her. That puts the safety of me, my wife, and her at risk. But more importantly, it puts my 2 teenage girls' safety at risk. I was uncomfortable doing that, so I explained this to my wife. I told her I would be willing to give her shelter for the night, since it was last minute, but I couldn't let her become a magnet for trouble in my house. My wife was livid. She told me I was heartless and asked me about her sister's safety. I said that I wanted her to be safe, but I will not sacrifice our daughter's safety for that. This led to a massive argument and her accusing me of not caring if her sister survived the week. I told her she was being unfair, especially in offering her shelter without both of our input. Her sister's still here, and I made it clear to my wife that she needs to be gone ASAP. She's been angry since. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your first responsibility is, and always will be, to the safety of your kids. Help in any other way if you're able, but domestic situations are extremely dangerous to anyone in the midst. It's hard to say no in that situation, but you are doing the right thing. I wonder why your wife is not more concerned about inviting that kind of danger around the children. She probably knows it deep down, but it's her sister, and maybe you're just kind of getting scapegoated a little here. Also, if this guy is dangerous, the sister's house is likely to be one of the first places he'll look for her, so they're at risk whether she's there or not. They need to work together to come up with a plan. OP, you should definitely anticipate the boyfriend showing up at your place. If you have an alarm, set it. If you don't have an alarm, consider what safety measures you do have and which ones you should maybe get. This is exactly what happened when my aunt ran away from her abusive husband. She came to my house, where my parents sheltered her, and our house was the first place he looked. They showed up with some toys, and we had to have the police come and arrest him. He would have ended us all to get to her. I was 10 years old and terrified. Have a couple of emergency plans laid out so your family knows what to do if the boyfriend shows up. So my dad has my sister, 23, my brother, 21, and me, 18 female, with our mom. They divorced when we were young because he wasn't very good to her. About 4 years ago, he got married again, and 2 years ago, he and his wife had a daughter together. It bothers my dad and his wife to an extent that we're not all about their daughter and that we act like she's different from us. She's so much younger, which is a part of everything. But the main thing is he wants us to be invested in her as much as we are with each other. He wants us to be those much older siblings who don't want to miss out on much, but none of us feel that way. She got a small surgery recently, and Dad was so upset that none of us insisted on being at the hospital with them. It wasn't some serious surgery at all, and she was home the same day. But it weighed on Dad that none of us were like, out of my way, we need to be there. So my siblings and I have this trip planned that coincides with celebrating my graduating high school. Dad heard about it and proposed a change of plans to us. He wanted to pay for all of us, the three of us, Dad, his wife, and their daughter, to go to Universal or Disney for a week so that we could spend time with our half-sister as well and have sibling time with all the actual siblings, not just the older three. My siblings were all auto no's, but I couldn't reply straight away. So Dad thought he had a chance. When I say I couldn't reply, I mean the app on my phone was being weird, and he was then messaging me alone and saying how it would be a good thing and how we'd have those memories forever. And if we could make a tradition out of it, and she, the half-sister, would always know her big siblings enjoyed having her around. When I could reply, I did, and turned down the offer as well. Dad is angry and says it's not every day kids our age get the offer for a vacation paid for by parents, and even offered to spend money. He said it's like we're determined to make it clear our half-sister's not wanted, and we'll be the reason we're not closer as she gets older. Not the age gap, and not him or his wife. He told me I was acting like a kid, and not like a new adult. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. My husband was born when his next older sister was 16, and he was a menopausal baby. I'm the oldest of 4 bios, half and a step. Your reasons are valid. Dad cannot build a new fantasy family using money. Everyone will end up resenting all of it. He's doing no one any favors, and you're better off just saying so. Dad needs to grow up. You are the idiot. You don't get to pick and choose your siblings. Your biological half-sister is painfully aware not all relationships are the same, though. Her sin? Having a dad just like yours. That's it. That fact should unite you two, but you need your anger more. Blood isn't anything. The way we treat our family resonates with the infinite. Write this young child a card and explain why you treat her less kindly than a total stranger. Justify yourself to her. Her parents protect her from the baseless, vile anger. I think your bio dad might be the good guy here. I understand that he's desperate to bring all his kids together, but with a huge difference in ages, I don't think he's being realistic, and not realistic about what place this very tiny child holds in OP's and siblings' lives and priorities either. OP, I don't think any of you are being unreasonable to say no thanks to his offer. He's trying to force bonds that simply can't be forced that way.